Gifts is something that you're born with, but greatness is something that you develop. Legacy to me is a treasure box of acts, sayings, and behaviors that are examined like the Egyptian tombs of royalty. Before all this can occur, you must know who you are. So allow me to introduce myself. I'm Kevin Bam Smith, an artist, poet, turned entrepreneur. My gifts have introduced me to the world of entrepreneurship. My speaking abilities have landed me on stages across the country and even behind prison walls. I remember watching old movies and documentaries about some of the best artists the world has ever seen. And they share stories about how labels took advantage of them like Black Friday sales, and all they have left to show is their life in times like an old Jay-Z album. My empathetic emotions allowed me to understand that their story could very well be mine. My dad instilled that in me to think this way. He always wanted me to think differently, and he would drill me every time I began to act like a carbon copy. I remember him and I shared a lot of times together. And in those times, he was able to give me my two greatest gifts, which I'm able to credit him like a works cited page. Those gifts allowed me to effectively listen to him as he told stories about his adulthood. Silent as a person who knows their Miranda rights, I just tried to solve his problems in my head because I had to remember to stay in the child's place. In this case, I would wonder how his life would be much better if I was able to lend my advice. Fast forward 30 years later, now I offer these service to my business owners, but now I'm twice as nice. Coaching has landed me in a position of influence. So I try my best to extend my expertise and to extend growth. I'm not trying to tell you what to do. I just want you to understand that I see the best in you and want to bring out the potential that I see in you. One of my favorite clients by the name of Gladys, she had a cleaning company and she wanted to grow substantially. She was nervous about taking on debt because she just didn't want to be in that position. But I had to explain to her that there's a difference between good debt and bad debt. And in that time, she listened to my leadership and was able to grow exactly how we planned once she got the funding. The thing about leadership is that some of the best leaders are the ones who create the most success stories from the people they cross paths with. Bang is all I heard as we fled the apartment of a former college teammate on refuge to safety. Hearing the alarm sounding off to alert the authorities, and I'm trying to calm myself with my heart beating rapidly. This all started as kids was getting rowdy at a college party, which was typical in the early 2000s, as crunk music topped the charts led by Lil Jon. Shoves have soon turned into punches, and punches elevated into knockouts. Bruised egos led to mob action brawls on innocent young couples as they tried to enjoy their weekend together, which landed us on the doorstep of the assaultants one February night. Arguments are getting heated through the open window, which led to me making an irrational decision to kick the front door in. We spill into the apartment to be met at a standoff between the two parties. Arguments are getting heated through the open window, which led to me making an irrational decision to kick the front door in. We spill into the apartment to be met at a standoff between the two parties. MJ stood in the middle of the front floor to square off with Jason as everyone watched. The brawl was getting too intense to the point that a few of his friends tried to jump in, and I could not allow that because MJ and I made a pact. And that was to be the first thing smoking off this college campus, on this college campus, if anything was to go left. And I had to ensure that everything was going to plan, so I stepped in to assist. The brawl was getting intense to the point that BH decided to go into the back room and resurface with a .22 caliber rifle. Seeing that everybody in our party wasn't able to get in, they was able to see and look on from the balcony, which they alerted us with warning to say, "He got a gun, BH got a gun." The people from our party took off with the same intensity that a 100-meter sprinter does. Meanwhile, MJ and I are still in the apartment deep in battle. So I get rid of the guy that I'm tussling with, and I run over to push off Jason as he was in a headlock by MJ. I grab MJ and we make our way to the exit. Running low, we hear a shot ring out. Terrified and fear all over me like a uniform, we make our way to the stairwell. MJ falls and stumbles, and we look back in shock as we notice that he was hit. And at the same time, he noticed that he was hit as well. Scared, panicking, trying to catch his breath, we ended up just pressing a button to alert the authorities. And then I had to make the devastating call to his mom. That was the hardest thing I had to do, because I heard pleasant hellos turn into tragic screams in a matter of seconds. The paramedics have brought MJ out on the stretcher, and they began to pump on his chest. At this moment, I knew his situation was much more critical than I thought. MJ didn't survive the night, and I spent the next 72 hours in jail being questioned by detectives. Seeing people get released one by one to their families had my future in question. And then the very last day of my questioning, I ended up talking to the detectives, and they informed me that I was granted immunity on behalf of MJ's mom. She didn't want to see anything happen to me because she thought I was a good kid. And at the same time, they couldn't bring justice to her, so this was a debt of gratitude they owed her. I ended up walking away from the situation with no criminal charges. However, I suffer from PTSD and survivor's remorse. MJ's mom saved me that night, which allowed me to continue on chasing my greatness. I learned the thing about the media is that they created a narrative about a person and an image about a person that they never met. Upon my release, I went to visit MJ's mom, and she was showing me all the newspaper articles and news segments of the situation. I ended up just looking at her as she began to cry, saying that they made her son look like a monster. But today, I'm able to tell my story and not allow somebody to create an image of me that they never met me. I dedicated my degree to him in honor. I could have lost my life that night or spent the next 6 to 8 years in prison. So as cliche as it sounds, on our journey to success, being self-made is a badge of honor. I've seen people carry it like medals of your top favorite athlete. On contrary, we all come from a team effort. My history background shows me that we all are products of our environment. So there are always somebody who comes before us who inspires us by paving the way. For every Elon Musk, there's a Henry Ford. For every Chris Brown, there's a Michael Jackson to a James Brown. And for every LeBron James, there's a Michael Jordan to a Dr. J. My circumstances are no different. There are plenty of people who came along the way to help me with my growth. During my college years at WIU, I crossed paths with two great friends by the name of Iggy and Greg. Both of them was fellow poets, and they allowed me to grow with them. They were both better than me at performing, and I would look up to them in that light. They knew that I was a talented writer, but they knew that also I needed to get better in the growth department for performing. So they challenged me. They wanted me to speak with the confidence of a drill sergeant. And although I was an introverted person, I would get nervous to perform like a first day for a kid at a new school. But I took the challenge like a settlement. And I began to perform at cafeterias and on bus stops and any place else that they seen fit. These challenges have grown me to the point that I took my hobby and turned it into a profession. So with this hobby, I was able to turn it into a profession. So now I ended up leaving college with Iggy, and him and his friend has decided to tour the country and skip corporate America. They settled in Austin and began to create a group that allowed them to tour the country. For me, I was able to try to do the same thing, but I was denied by their agency. They thought I was too hood. So I came back to Iggy and told him the story about my denial, and he went back to them with a complaint as if they got his order wrong. He told them that he was willing to walk away from the company if they didn't give me a chance, because he knew deeply how talented I was. At this moment, I realized that I am not self-made. The fact that Iggy was able to put his career online for me let me know that he believed in me so greatly that I could do the job that I can do. I ended up touring for 6 years. And because of that, without Iggy, Greg, Wally World of Entertainment, or the many colleges and universities that gave me an opportunity, I wouldn't have had the experience to be a professional poet. So I could flex my self-made badge, but I would rather hoist up my team trophy on my pursuit to, in my victory speech. If I knew then what I knew now, my life would be much greater. This is something that I heard from family members like my grandparents, parents, uncles, cousins. They were all share this with me because they understood the fact that things could change. Now, I do understand the fact that I'm not here to change the course of action, but if I can go back and talk to my 21-year-old self, I have to think what mind frame I was in. I was just letting go of the fact that my first aspiration was not coming true. I was not going to be a professional athlete. However, I did just develop this gift of writing poetry. So being in an unwavering industry, I'm not sure what my future looked like. So I would just go back to change the mindset of myself, but say, hey, kid, you need to have more confidence in who you are. This gift you just developed will open up doors far greater than you would imagine. You will touch the hearts of so many different generations after you, so many people that's before you. You will bring tears to some of the people as you invoke the emotion in these people. It will open up so many doors. You just got to be confident in yourself and in your ability to know who you are. The second advice I would give to myself is just to have boundaries. Going with the flow allowed me to put myself in positions where I had to dig myself out of holes it was tough to. Now, setting boundaries would allow you to put these plans in place so that you can say no. Going with the flow is meaning that you're always at somebody's mercy, and you can't be at somebody's mercy. Putting people before yourself is okay, but when you do it so many times, then you're starting to sacrifice your own dreams and your own goals for somebody else's dreams and goals. And the third thing that I would say is just to network more. Networking more is going to open up the doors because you're going to be confident to speak about yourself. You're not boasting in this way. You're just selling yourself to the people who don't know you. So getting rid of this shyness and opening up these doors is what's going to allow you to grow. And that's what I've been able to do over the last 10 plus years in this industry. So if you take this advice, you'll be well on your way. So the question is asked, what's next for me? What's next for me is actually getting back to the things that I love to do. When you do have a gift, it makes way for you. Getting back to speaking is something I love to do. Whenever I embrace the stage, I don't feel like I'm on the stage. I just feel like I'm connecting with the people and inspiring them in ways that are creative. So I want to get back into the realm of speaking in more corporate events and conferences and things of that nature. I also see my consulting business being more rolled out in a more way that it can reach the demand of the landscape I'm servicing. So I want to have more consultants that I'm working with, more grant writers, having a more robust funding program that can allow people to get to the chance to have this option so that they can grow in a more substantial way. I also have other business opportunities that I'm connected in from a strategic standpoint. So I'm working with some companies that are growing tremendously on the West Coast in the drug treatment area. And also I am working with some logistics companies as well from a strategic standpoint. So I'm hoping that all this comes together, or I'm not hoping, but I'm confident that all this will come together in the next 3 to 5 years, and I can begin to be more of this, brand myself as more of this global businessman than just a one-trick pony, which is performing and coaching and things of that nature. So I'm morphing myself into this businessman. So this is what I'm looking to do in the next coming years. Why hire the E-Perspective? First, hiring us means that you're going to gain a strategic partner than a transactional consultant. We understand the landscape. We work with well over 60 businesses in the last 3 years with an average growth of 40%. I was able to take my own company and grow it 800% in 6 months without any customer acquisition costs. These are the things that you're going to get. So you're going to get somebody who has a wealth of a network. And as a consultant, one of your greatest tools is your network and your ability to make one phone call that will make a difference. I have those abilities. I have those abilities to understand where you're going through, to help you visualize what it looks like, and then put that plan together so that we can make it reality. How it looks for me is that I will come in as a coach. That's the first phase. A consultant is the first phase, which I would just listen to your story, listen to your team, figure out what it is that is troubling you. Then we would go into a strategic portion of it, putting together initiatives, growth initiatives, and change strategies that allow you to change up what you're doing. And then I will come in from a coaching standpoint in phase 2, which would allow us to demonstrate what it looks like for these changes, work with you on these changes, and then release you so that you can work with yourself and your team on these changes. And then we will phase into the advisory phase, which is phase 3. And that's just kind of tapping in with you, checking in so that we could see if there's any adjustments that we need to make, and also just continuing to be a listening ear and a voice for you to bounce your ideas off of so that we could put together future plans for you. So once again, you're not going to get just a strategic, a one-off transactional person, but you're going to get a strategic partner that is looking to grow with you as well. What I enjoy most about this experience is the patience. Working with this team has been tremendous. The customer service, they put fans on me, made sure that I was cool, comfortable. Even in my rocky start, they stayed patient. And sometimes you need that comfortability so that you can perform at your highest level. So they kind of understood how to get me calm so that I can do what I do best. And this is something that I will definitely recommend to other people, because you get a chance to tell your story. And when you're telling your story, it's a chance to highlight what it is that you do best so that people may be able to hire you at the end of the day. So I'm grateful for the experience, and I just look forward to more.